Hello, and welcome back to my Pokemon card TCG playthrough series. Today I'm going to be showing a little mock game so you can see how a typical Pokemon card game plays out. I'm using two different decks today. The Roaring Skies one you may be familiar with from my previous introduction to the Pokemon card series. This one is called Storm Rider. It is an electric and leaf or grass type deck with a few dragon Pokemon in it, and it features Zapdos. I'm also using an XY Xerneas Fairy deck, which I have since modified with a few cards. I'm going to be playing both parts so you can kind of see each end of it, and instead of getting up and playing on both sides, I'm just going to be spinning this side back and forth. So, let's see. I guess I'll call one side Zapdos and one side Xerneas. So, let's consider this the good guy side, since we're already a little familiar with this deck. So basically, to start a game of Pokemon cards, you're going to need a full 60 card deck. When you first take it out, you're going to want to shuffle the cards quite a few times, just to make sure you don't have anything set up weird from the last time that you put away your cards. Once you've shuffled it, you can do this in a couple different ways. Typically, I put my prize cards down first and then my hand, but here we go. Going to go ahead and place 4 prize cards down. I don't want to do a hugely long game since I'm going to be playing both sides. So these prize cards stay over here, and I can only take a prize card when I knock out one of their opponent's Pokemon. When I take all my prize cards, that means I win. So then I'm going to get 7 cards in my hand. And then place the rest of my deck over here. I am allowed to look at these cards. I am going to, so before the game actually starts, I have to choose a Pokemon to place face down right here. It has to be a basic Pokemon, and then I can place as many, up to 5 Pokemon on my bench that are also basic. So, it looks like I only have one choice, and it is Nincada, or Nincada. It's not the best starting card, but it's my only choice. If, for example, I did not have any basic Pokemon in my hand, I would have to shuffle my hand back into the deck, and this time I would only get to take 6 cards. And you would have to repeat that with one less card every time if you don't have any basic Pokemon, so that kind of goes back in with constructing a good deck, but considering this one was made for me, I think it'll be okay. Just gonna place my hand down there and go to the Xerneas side. Okay, so now I'm on the bad guy Xerneas side. It's kind of weird to be rooting for one myself or the other, but you know. Just gonna give it a good shuffle there. And do the same as on the other side. I'll put 4 prize cards down. and 7 cards for my hand. And it looks like I'm kind of upside down right now, so I'm just gonna flip these around. Whoops. Okay, and just stick my deck over here. So again, I only have one option for my active Pokemon. It's a Pumpkaboo. I'm just gonna place that like that. And I don't have anything for the bench yet. So before the game starts, you can't play any energy cards or item cards. Okay, so in order to determine who gets to go first, I'm going to flip a coin. If heads, the good guys are gonna get it, Storm Rider. If tails, we're going to go with Xerneas. So it looks like Zapdos is going to go first. So kind of the reason why you want to hide this Pokemon is because it's typically you won't know what type of Pokemon deck they're using, but if I did have a choice between active Pokemon, I would want to wait and see what they put down and then try and make my decision based off that for type advantage, but that's why we have to put them face down. So at the beginning of my turn, I draw a card and put it in my hand. Drawing starts your turn and attacking ends your turn. So it looks like I have a basic Pokemon here, Voltorb. I'm going to go ahead and put that down on my bench. And it looks like I have an Electrode. I cannot use this Electrode on my first turn that I have placed this card down, but I can use it next turn. So let's take a closer look at my active Pokemon. It's a leaf type, has 40 HP, and an attack called Slight Intrusion that does 20 damage, and I do 10 damage to myself. That's not very good, and I'm not going to last very long if that was the case. Luckily, the opponent, Pumpkaboo, does not have an attack that does damage. He can only confuse me. So I'm going to attach an energy card so I can use this attack. It's a colorless energy, so I can choose either energy that I want. Since I have an electric Pokemon that's going to need to be powered up, and Nincada is a leaf Pokemon or a grass Pokemon, I'm going to attach a grass energy. Now, I can only attach one energy per turn, so you need to be kind of careful when thinking about that. So I have a switch, which says switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. I don't really need to do that yet, but might as well just show you what it is. So I'm going to end my turn by attacking. I'm going to do 20 damage to Pumpkaboo, and that means 10 to myself. So I'm just going to take these damage counters, put them on Pumpkaboo and myself. Okay, so that ends my turn. And time for the opponent's turn. I draw a card to start my turn, and it is a Swirlix, which is another basic Pokemon. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the bench. So we have a Super Potion, which heals 60 damage from one of your Pokemon. If you do, discard an energy attached to that Pokemon. I also have a Professor's Letter, which says search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards. And a Flodet, which I do not have the basic Pokemon for. So I'm just going to rearrange my hand a little bit. And right now it seems like the most sensible thing to do would be to attach this energy to Pumpkaboo and use the Confuse Ray attack which simply says your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. So when a Pokemon's confused, you just kind of turn it upside down so people know it's confused. So back on this side, I'm going to draw to start my turn. And I picked up this supporter card called Tierno, and it just says draw 3 cards. Now I can only use one supporter card during your turn. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to take this card and discard it. Since I don't really have that much room on the playing field, I'm just going to put my discard pile off the board. Means I can draw 3 cards. So I get grass energy, electric energy, and another grass energy. So that's not the best, but at least I'm not hurting for energy now. I'm going to choose to go ahead and evolve my Voltorb into an Electrode. Just going to place that right on top of him. Let's take a closer look at Electrode. You can see he needs quite a bit of energy in order to do his energy bomb attack. So this turn, since Nincada does not need any more energy on him right now, I'm just going to attach this turn's energy to Electrode. Now, I could try and attack Pumpkaboo, but I would have to flip a coin because Nincada is confused. If heads, I would get to attack like normal. If tails, I would take 20 damage. Since Nincada only has 40 HP, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to use this item card. This item is called Switch. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. Coincidentally, when you take a Pokemon from the active Pokemon roll and he goes back to the bench, he is cured of any status effects like confusion or poison. So I'm going to use this item card, switch him out for Electrode, and then use Electrode's Continuous Tumble. The Continuous Tumble says flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 20 damage times the number of heads. So it can either do 0 damage or 20 plus. So I'm going to try that out. I apologize if the coin flips are a little bit loud. I might have to tone that down in editing. Oops, that was kind of a bad one. I'm going to redo that. So I got a heads, so that's already 20 damage. And then I got a tails, so that stops his Continuous Tumble. So Pumpkaboo will get 20 damage. And that ends my turn. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw to start my turn. I got another Swirlex. Just going to stick that on my bench for the other one. I don't quite need this super potion yet. I'm going to go ahead and attach one of these fairy energy to a Swirlex, since Pumpkaboo only has an attack with 1 energy. So the Swirlex can do tackle for 10 and fairy wind for 20. So I'm going to go ahead and use Confuse Ray on Electrode. Electrode is now confused, and I end my turn. So you can kind of see the flow now. Just going to draw again to start my turn. So I have 2 Pokemon that I can't really use right now in my hand, and then just a bunch of energy. So I'm going to keep powering up Electrode for the moment. If I wanted to try and retreat, I could. By retreating, I would have to pay his retreat cost, which is 1, and then I would discard that 1 energy card. But since I'm confused, I would have to flip and see if I would get to do that as well. If I got a Tails, I would take 20 damage and lose that energy card. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to power him up, but not attack this turn. Since Continuous Tumble is kind of a gamble anyway, I'm going to wait for Energy Bomb. So that's another option as well. If you have enough energy but simply don't want to attack for whatever reason, like for example, I don't want to risk Electrode getting 20 damage right now, and then somehow missing, or getting the heads and then somehow missing the Continuous Tumble. I'm just going to not attack this turn. Okay, so I have an Aromatisse. I do not have Spritzy, so I can't use that right now. I might need to use Professor's Letter soon, but I'm gonna hold off until I need to do it. Went ahead and put another energy right here on Swirlex. And since at the moment I cannot retreat Pumpkin Boo because I need 2 energies, but he already has a lot of damage, I'm just going to leave him out there. It's not going to do anything if I attack Electrode right now because he's already confused, so I'm actually not going to attack on this side either. Okay, hopefully somebody's gonna attack this time. Ooh, look at there. I've got a Zapdos. So, as you can see, he's got quite a high HP and can do a lot of damage. For just 1 energy, you can do Drill Peck, which does 20 damage, or Raging Thunder for 120. It does, however, do 40 damage to one of my own benched Pokemon. So that's not the greatest, considering Nincada might die from that. Oh, I'm sorry, faint Pokemon don't die. Well, they do, because of Lavender Town. That's a tangent. Whoops. So I'm going to leave him there for now, and since I need to save this electric energy for Zapdos, I'm going to instead use this Leaf Energy to fully power up Electrode. He is still confused, but I can do his Energy Bomb attack, which does 70 damage, and I can move all energy from this Pokemon to one of your benched Pokemon in any way you like. Oh, to any of your benched Pokemon. So, I can fully power up Zapdos if I want to. Of course, then it would leave him open, but he is confused already. So, I think... well, I'll see if he actually gets to do the attack first. So I need to flip a coin because Electrode is confused. And I hit myself in confusion, so I take 20 damage. Oops, not 60, just 20. Okay, well, that was a bust. Let's go ahead and switch it over to the other side. have a max survive. Put a Pokemon from your discard pile on top of your deck. I don't have anything in my discard pile on this side, so I also don't have any energy, so I'm going to use Professor's Letter. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards. I'm just going to put this side's discard pile over here. Okay. So I'm going to take a Psychic, and see, this card right here is not a basic energy card. This is called a special energy card. It's a double colorless, and it provides 2 colorless energy. So I can't take that one, unfortunately. But I can take another fairy. I then have to shuffle my deck. And I think what I'm going to do is attach this energy card to Pumpkaboo and see the retreat cost of 2. I'm going to discard these 2 energy cards and retreat Pumpkaboo. The damage stays on him though. I'm then going to send out Swirlix. Swirlix can do Fairy Wind for 20 damage, so I'm going to do that 20 damage to Electrode. Retreating also, it can be strategic if, for example, you think your Pokemon's going to get knocked out, because then you can prevent your opponent from taking a prize card. Okay, so things aren't looking too good for Electrode all of a sudden. I have an Execute, which I'm going to put on the bench. So there's an interesting little gamble that I can do. I think I'm going to try and get a heads and then do Energy Bomb, which will knock out Swirlix, and then I can transfer all of this energy to Zapdos. Of course, that hinges on me getting a heads. But before I attack and end my turn, I'm going to go ahead and put this Leaf Energy on to Execute so we can do the Ram or Loathe attack. Okay. Just hoping for heads here. And I got a heads, which means that Electrode, despite being confused, attacks with Energy Bomb for 70 damage. Swirlix is knocked out, so that means he goes into the opponent's discard pile. I then take a prize, which is a Wurmple, and I only have 3 more prizes to take until I win. So then I can take, using this effect, Energy Bomb, I'm going to take these 3 energies and attach them to Zapdos. Electrode is still confused, however, and has 40 damage. Now, there's an... whoops. So that ends my turn. Now, there is something interesting that happens when this person's Pokemon was knocked out. Before I'm allowed to draw and start my turn, I have to immediately replace the active Pokemon with one of the Pokemon on my bench. If I did not have any benched Pokemon at this time, I would lose. So since Pumpkaboo has a lot of damage on him already and can't do any damage with his attacks, I'm going to send out Swirlix. I then can draw and start my turn. So there's a Venipede who has quite a bit of interesting effects there. I can poison Pokemon with him, so I would very much like to power him up. Now I could use a super potion, but I would have to sacrifice an energy, which I don't really want to do right now. I could also, I kind of have a little bit of a debate. Do I want to put this energy card on Swirlex, who has a lower HP but can attack immediately for 10 damage, or save it for Venipede? I think I'm going to put it on Venipede and end my turn without attacking. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw. This is Pokemon Center Lady. Heal 60 damage and remove all special conditions from one of your Pokemon. Well, that's perfect. Going to use it on Electrode. It removes his damage counters and his confusion. So Electrode is basically back to normal. But just for the heck of it, I do want to use this Zapdos. So what I'm going to do is attach this to Electrode, and then using his retreat cost of 1, immediately retreat him, and send out Zapdos. Now, I could use the Raging Thunder and just go crazy, but if I knocked, for example, Nincada out by doing 40 damage to him, my opponent would get to take that prize card. So instead, I'm just going to use Drill Peck for 20. And hope that Swirlix doesn't get to do much damage in the meantime. I should be able to knock out that Swirlix in 2 more turns just using Drill Peck, so that's a pretty good strategy, just to wait for that. Okay, I'm then going to draw to start my turn, and I drew a Flabébé, which is cool because I do have a Floaté, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this on my bench. I am, however, at a loss for energy, so for the first time in this game, I'm not going to be able to attach an energy card for this turn, that's kind of no good, especially because I need to be powering up some of these guys. So unfortunately, I have no other option but to end my turn without attacking. So I've got a Leaf Energy here. I forgot actually, I have a Wurmple, but he's not the best, not the worst. I'm not sure if I want to spend an energy card on him right now, so I think instead I'm going to put it on Electrode, just in case I need him. And then do Drill Peck to Swirlix, and if nothing changes, I should be able to knock him out in the next turn. Okay, so hoping for an energy over here. I got an energy, but I was hoping for a psychic energy for this Venipede, so that's kind of lame. I guess instead I'll go ahead and put it on the Flabébé right here. It can do Razor Leaf right now, but if I evolve it to Floaté, has 70 HP, can do Petal Blizzard, does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, or Razor Leaf for 30. I just need 1 more energy. The reason why I did not put the energy on Swirlix is because Swirlix can only do 10 damage right now, and for all I know, Zapdos is going to kill him next turn. Often, if you find yourself with an active Pokemon that is underpowered and weak, or has a lot of damage, you'll kind of want to sacrifice it. I know that sounds mean, but you want to kind of power up the ones that still have a chance. Again, sounds mean, but that's kind of how animal fighting, with these guys goes. Sometimes it's a little bit cruel. So here I have a double dragon energy. This is a special energy. It can only be attached to a dragon type Pokemon like this Dragonair. It provides every type of energy, but only 2 energy at a time. So for example, I could attach this to Dragonair and then it would take care of these 2 energies, and then I would just need 1 more in order to do Slam. But I don't have any energies that I can play on these guys right now. So what I'm going to do is do Drill Peck, knock out Swirlix, and then take my prize. My prize is an electric energy, which is actually kind of useful. Realizing I put those in the wrong discard pile. So I only have 2 prize cards left, and then I win the game on this side. Also, when you take a prize card, since your turn is already ended by attacking, you are not allowed to then put this energy card down, for example. So before I draw, I have to immediately replace a Pokemon. I'm going to put out Floette. Floette, I guess. And then I'm going to draw. I got another Venipede, which is not what I need right now. I need a Psychic Energy. But using Floette, I can do Petal Blizzard. Does 10 damage to each of the opponent's Pokemon. So speaking of this attack, see how you can attack benched Pokemon? That's actually kind of a strategy as well. I can, in 2 turns by using Petal Blizzard, I can knock out Nincada now. So that's pretty cool. Another strategy to get some extra prizes. Had to do a little battery change there, but at the start of my turn I drew a Cascoon, which actually evolves from a Wurmple. I could start playing them, but I think I've got it covered with Zapdos. I am, however, just in case, going to put this energy down on Electrode. Now, I could go ahead and just Raging Thunder twice and win the game, but since this is kind of a learning game for you guys, I'm going to go ahead and do Drill Peck a little bit more, and then if this video is getting too long, I will, I guess, go ahead and win. But yeah, so it's not the smartest move, but I do want to kind of show you more of how the game works. So I'm going to do Drill Peck for 20. And it looks like I'm kind of running out of, oh, I can just use this one right here. Okay. So that ends my turn on this side. Oh, now things are getting interesting. Just picked up a Xerneas card. Has 130 HP. Its first attack here, Geomancy, only requires 1 fairy energy. And it says choose 2 of your benched Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a fairy energy card and attach it to that Pokemon. And then it has Rainbow Spear for 100 damage. And then you have to discard one of the energy cards attached to Xerneas. Now, unfortunately for this person, Zapdos can do 120 damage, yet Xerneas can only do 100. But Xerneas can stay alive. At least one of Zapdos' Raging Thunder attacks. It'll survive just barely, but it might be long enough for me to do that Rainbow Spear for 100 and then 100 again. So, basically gonna try and power this one up before the other side wins. So I currently do not have any energy cards to attach to it, which is unfortunate. But I can still do Petal Blizzard again. So Petal Blizzard does 10 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So it's going to do another 10 to Nincada. So he's 10 away from getting knocked out. So I could potentially take a prize card if I do this attack again. And I've run out of regular 10s, so instead of using these 50s, I'm going to flip them over and act like they're 10s. So that ends my turn. Oops. Kind of knocking stuff everywhere now that the board's getting pretty full. So I've picked up an electric energy. So if I don't take Floette out, it will knock out my Nincada. But currently, unless I want to give up 2 of Zapdos energy or knock one of my own Pokemon out, well, technically I wouldn't be knocking out Electrode with that Raging Thunder. So, depends, I guess, on which side I want to win, because I'm kind of controlling that right now. Basically what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to do Raging Thunder, do that 120 damage to Floette, do the 40 damage to Electrode, since he can take it, he's got 90 left, and then, Floette won't be knocked out. So he will get 40 damage. So actually, coincidentally, I can just flip this back over because it'll be 40 plus 20, so that's 60. And then Floette will be knocked out. And I will take the second to last prize card. Now here's kind of where it gets tricky, that I have to replace my Pokemon card before I know what card I'm going to draw. For instance, if I were to draw a Fairy Energy, it would make a lot more sense to put Xerneas out, and then maybe at least try to do Geomancy, and then survive, I guess, and maybe be able to do Rainbow Spear somehow. But if I got a Psychic Energy, it might make more sense to bring out Venipede, then at least poison the opponent. But it's all kind of pointless at this point because I don't have enough energy and the opponent only has 1 prize card. If you were playing a longer game with 6 prizes, then you can it'll really sometimes go back and forth between who you think's gonna win or not. In short games like this, it's kind of hard to come back. So I guess I'll do Venipede, and then just for the heck of it, I'm not gonna have him use Raging Thunder next turn. It's kind of easier knowing what exactly your opponent's gonna be doing. Going to use this on Xerneas. And just to give myself a fighting chance, so you guys can see more of the gameplay, I'm not going to go ahead and kill this Venipede, but also I did not have enough energy for Venipede, which is unfortunate. Okay, so we've got a professor's letter. I don't really need any more energy on this side right now, so just not going to do anything with it. I am, however, going to evolve him just so Execute doesn't get knocked out from something. Yeah. So I could either do Raging Thunder, kill him immediately and win, or just do Drill Peck for 20, so I think that's what I'm going to do. It'd be kind of cruel if I just ended it here, I guess. I'm hoping that we can somehow get Xerneas in play and you can see him do something before I decide to end it, but yeah. Typically you won't know what your opponent's doing unless you really know their deck. So here we go. We have a Trevenant, but that doesn't really help me because I do not have a Phantump right now and no energies, so kind of in a bind. Alright, so I guess if this side doesn't get an energy next turn, I might as well just end it. Sorry if this was a shorter game than I anticipated. It's a little bit more one-sided than I hoped for, but never can quite tell what you're gonna draw. So I get a Wally. This is a supporter card which says search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon, excluding Pokemon EX, and put it onto that Pokemon, so that's pretty cool. Again, I don't really need it. So I'm going to have Zapdos do Drill Peck for 20 on Venipede, and hopefully the other side can come back pretty soon. Mostly I just want to show you what happens when a Pokemon gets poisoned, but I don't really think that's going to happen. How about we just do a little bit of cheating here? I'm going to take this from my discard pile and give it to Venipede. Just, to show you what happens when a Pokemon gets poisoned. So, I'm going to use Poison Sting on Zapdos. Zapdos is immediately poisoned from that. So, when Zapdos gets poisoned from the attack, he takes 20 damage. So he would have 30 damage. By the way, I just use these as placeholders for damage because I don't have any more of the little cutout ones. Let's see, what else can I use? I'll use these two as the damage from Poison Sting itself, and then Zapdos is poisoned, so I'm going to put this little marker so we know that he's poisoned. Then, as soon as my turn ends, Zapdos is going to get another damage counter for the poison. So, I'm just taking one off this Pumpkaboo. I'll just know that he has 40. So the Zapdos gets 10 right after Venipede's turn. I'm going to then use Drill Peck, so he gets 20. So I'm going to swap this 50 for this 10. So he would get 20, so I'm going to take 30 off. I think that's right, yes, 60. So as soon as Zapdos attacks him with Drill Peck and my turn ends, Zapdos gets another 10 damage from poison. So you can already see how effective poisoning a Pokemon is. and this poison will stay with me until I retreat to the bench or I use like an antidote or something, or get knocked out. Okay, hoping for something good. It's actually a fairy energy, so that's pretty good. Going to put this on Xerneas, and unfortunately, because of this damage, next turn, assuming that the Zapdos attacks, Venipede will faint and they will take the prize card. So it basically looks like this, even with all the cheating and stuff, this side is going to lose. And that's unfortunate, but like I said, in the smaller prize amount games, this can happen pretty quickly. For example, if this had been a 6 prize game, I wouldn't have been so worried about Venipede, and then I could have powered up the Xerneas, and then potentially use the Rainbow Spear to come back at Zapdos. I'm just going to go ahead and call it that Zapdos wins. So essentially on my next turn, Zapdos would knock out Venipede, and the last prize card would be taken, and that person would win. So because this team lost, it's interesting to see. You obviously saw I had issues with energy, so I didn't have enough energy. What you can take away from a loss is kind of like, you can then look back at your deck and see whether it was just luck of the draw that you lost. For example, if I had a whole bunch of energy just sitting at the bottom of the deck, it was like, oh, well then maybe I didn't shuffle correctly or something. But if you look through it and you're just not seeing that much energy, you might want to go back in and take out some of the Pokemon or some of the trainers, for example, and replace them with some energy. This deck actually has a low amount of energy, but a couple special ones, and I tried to put in a fair amount of things like, draw 3 cards, or the, as you saw earlier, so the very next card that I would have drawn would be a Professor's Letter, which would have let me have 2 basic energy cards. So that's unfortunate, but if you notice the same, if you notice a deck losing in the same ways, if you play it a couple times, might indicate that you need to restructure it. So this was actually a pre-made deck that I have since swapped out some of the cards, and actually when I first got this deck, it had much less energy than is in there right now. I'm not quite sure why. Back in the original game set, they recommended you having like 25 to 30 of your 60 cards in a deck be energy, but all these new cards, some of them even have, like, all these new decks, some of them even have down to like 17 or 20 of the cards being energy. I'm not sure why they swapped it that way. I guess probably because Pokemon like the Zapdos exist, where for just 1 it can go ahead and do 20, and then for 3 it can do 120, where back in the original set it would take, like 4 energy cards of all the same type to do, like even 80 damage. Just one of those things, I guess, as the game has progressed. Another tip is, if you're playing with another person, try and make sure that your generations are somewhat close. Obviously, if I was playing this deck against like a Gen 1 or 2 deck, it would be a pretty uneven match. Though I do have some decks where it has cards from all generations. These were both from X and Y, but just got unlucky with this deck this time. So I hope you learned a little bit about how to play a Pokemon card game. The next topic that I'm going to be going over in more depth is how to build your own deck from scratch, as well as how to start replacing some cards from a sample deck. So I hope you liked it. Just going to go ahead and make some standard ASMR card noises as I clean up. And if you'd like to see any more from this series, I'm going to link the playlist at the end. Thanks for watching. Hello there, and welcome back to my Pokemon TCG ASMR series. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can get started actually playing